Violations of human rights in the Republic of Cameroon. The death of a politician, Georges Anissé Kane, president of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, better known by its French language acronym condemns, while in detention in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, has raised grave concerns about what is today qualified as gross and flagrant violation of human rights in the Republic of Cameroon. We are analyzing all that, and it should be noted that he died in detention. He was arrested and detained within the context of the October 12, 2025 presidential election in the country. And we are looking at these issues, and we are also looking at a specific aspect of national and international laws being violated in the Republic of Cameroon. I'm talking about the right to bail, which is not respected in many cases, leading to prolonged pre-trial detention even beyond the time frame stated by the law in the Republic of Cameroon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Our guest today, Dr. Barrister Nkamwah Limen, a legal mind, the author of the book, Bail in the Common Law and Civil Law Jurisdictions in Cameroon, Evaluation from a Practical Base Perspective. Dr. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babila. It's a pleasure being here today.
Right, let's begin by looking at issues concerning the death of Anissé Kane, who was the president of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy and who died in detention. What is your perspective about this?
Well, I've said on so many occasions that it is regrettable that with the provisions of the law we have, which permitted him to be granted temporary liberty during trial, mindful of the fact that he is a public figure, he has a known abbot, and he was sick, he would have benefited from bail for him to take time and consult his regular medical doctors. So I think that the death of this prominent figure has shown to what extent the laws are not practiced in Cameroon. You see, because the law cannot make provision that if you are during criminal trials, someone can benefit from temporary liberty. And in a case where it is very necessary like this, we see that it is the government that flagrantly violates those laws to maintain a sick person in a confined facility until the point where he's dead. It is unfortunate.
And that speaks volumes of the level of non-respect of human rights in Cameroon.
Yes, of course. Of course, it is well known that we fall within countries that don't respect human rights. Whereas, you know, if you look at our laws, you look at even our constitution, you have the feeling that we are living in a society where rules, norms, international treaties and covenants signed and ratified are being respected. Because, you know, human right does not only stem from the fact that we signed and ratified international treaties relating to human rights, but the fact that we inculcated them as preamble of our constitution, which is the ground norm, the highest law of our nation. So if you say in the constitution of the country that we are going to respect human rights as prescribed by the international civil and political rights, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the African Charter on People and Human Rights, and then you don't respect them, it shows that we are not serious. And there is something we must know, Mr. Babila, that there is a theory that holds the government responsible. They call it triple pronged theory. It holds every government responsible for the non-respect of human rights. And in this case, the government of Cameroon has failed not only to acknowledge that there exists such a right for Anissé Kane, but they did not enforce that kind of the right on him. And no matter what anybody comes out to say, one thing remains very clear. He died because we did not respect the law. And who is a violator of that law which has not been respected? It is the government. The government that has the mandate to see that laws are respected in this country is a government that violated that right. It's unfortunate. No matter what justification they give that he came out and published a list of the winner of election, this and that, the question is, does the law provide that in cases where you are being prosecuted and you have sufficient guarantee, and in your condition, in that sick condition, he benefits another right, which is right to medical, right to health, right to life. So it's not only about right of liberty that we're talking about. We're talking about so many rights that were infringed. And I think for sure that the family is not going to take this line down, because if government that has a responsibility to protect rights violate them, the government should be sanctioned accordingly.
And even when we step back to his arrest, there are still a lot of issues there, considering the fact that he was picked up and taken to the nation's capital without an arrest warrant.
Mr. Babila, I want to say clearly that the Criminal Procedure Code is the Bible that governs criminal procedures in Cameroon. And the Criminal Procedure Code makes it very clear that for there to be an arrest, that person should either be caught in a flagrant delito, that's committing the action, or he be summoned. And when he fails to appear, they can now issue a warrant of appearance. You see, what they call usually mandat d'amener. You see, so that was not done. They came, picked up somebody. Indeed, if I want to use the right word, he was kidnapped. He was kidnapped. That is the right word to use. And you see, Mr. Babila, it is worrisome that these acts are perpetrated by the state. It means that none of us, you and I, were not secured. And we rest assured that so many other cases have occurred. I have two of my clients who were working at a pharmacy, Aquanor. Somebody came in civilian, discussed with them, went later and came with people who blocked that and collected them. Today they are in New Bay prison.
Elements.
Yes, today they are in New Bay prison. You ask them, what did they do? They were not caught marching. They were not caught in anything. They just came and arrested them, and today they are in New Bay prison. We wrote to the governor. The governor received us and told us that we should see with the legal authorities. And who arrested them? Légion de la Gendarmerie, Gendarmerie Légion. And the same people who allegedly sent this person to Yaoundé, who went and died. So why do we think that we have the right to arrest Cameroonians without following the procedure? And one thing you should know is that the Criminal Procedure Code sanctions those violations by declaring those acts null and void. And so all those who were arrested illegally without the respectance of the law, the courts have to declare that procedure null and void. But unfortunately, we have stooges for magistrates. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what we have. We have people who sit on the pulpit, who sit as judges, state council, without any control of that decision. And that is the subject of my next book, How Reliable Are Judges in Cameroon. I want to tell you that the judge who sits to hear the matter, in 90% is not the judge who delivers the judgment. The state council who sits in audience to hear a matter, if there is any application done, that state council will not even entertain. He will always seek for an adjournment, because he needs to go and consult with the hierarchy, the state council of the jurisdiction, and the state council will seek the consent of the Procureur General. So when we go to court, believe me, it's like a comedy show. It's like a comedy show, because those who you see wearing this and say they are judges and state council, in reality, they don't render judgment that reflects what they think, whereas the law says that they should render judgment in view of the facts presented before them, evidence and their conscience. But there are some judges, like we have in Bonanjo. There is a judge who render a judgment influenced by hierarchy, and today that man has not been working for almost a year plus, because when the judgment backfired, he was the one who was sacrificed. Same, there are judges everywhere that when you rule against what was said, you find yourself not even receiving files from your hierarchy. So, you know, we need to overhaul the judicial system. If you don't overhaul the judicial system, Cameroonians can never boast of living in a just society.
Earlier this year, the Minister of Justice raised concerns about what you're talking about when he mentioned issues of influence peddling, weighing down on the judges and so on. Now, talking about the fact that Anise Kane was deprived of his oxygen extractor. He was deprived of that and then treated in a way that was not appropriate, which culminated to his death, which contributed to his death, according to the facts in our disposal, because we also have information from the government bench showing or saying that or suggesting that he was given the best medical attention and so on. But we have facts that indicate that it is not true. He was maltreated, and that contributed to his death. Now, with regards to this fact, there are some analysts and critics who are saying that he was murdered. He was murdered by the regime.
You know, Mr. Babila, it does not suffice to give medication to somebody for the person to get well. The environment is equally very, very important. You understand? You cannot say you're treating somebody who is having a lungs or heart problem, and then you put him you confine him in a place where his blood pressure keeps rising. It is contributive murder. I will not say murder, it is contributive murder. You understand? And so, when I followed up a medical analysis, which I think I want to share with Cameroonians to show the gravity of what happened to Anise Kane. What you call oxygen extractor, a professional came out and said that thing is what regulates, not to, you know, you and I, we have our lungs are okay, we breathe in oxygen and we send out carbon dioxide. That thing has replaced his lungs. The equipment replaces his lungs. So when he takes in oxygen, he doesn't send out carbon dioxide. And so that is that thing that starts working like his lungs. You understand? So you could give him oxygen, but you've not regulated if the carbon dioxide comes out from his system, and when it remains in the blood, it becomes toxic. I'm talking based on verified analysis that medical conclusions that came up. So when it does not suffice to say that he was giving medical attention, he was giving the best treatment will not be in confinement. A best treatment for a patient who you know, because I listened to Minister Tanganji the other day. He said that this man was sick last year. He went and even visited him in the hospital and even assisted him, and that this man miraculously got well. And so therefore he knew that this was a very serious patient. And he knew. And then why do you maintain that person? Mr. Babila, you know, we take the risk to say some of these things because we think that we owe the duty here in this country to make it a better place. We stand and talk because we think that Cameroonians need to be free. The judicial system needs to cut a fine line, a clear demarcation between administrative influence and what is and judicial influence. Who caused the arrest? Administration. I want to find out if any state council signed a warrant of arrest against him. And then, what did the minister do? The minister is, I'm sorry to say that, from Douala. He knows that Anise Kane is sick. Many people who know him, they know that he's very sick. When there was that violation, what did our minister, he is our own boss, what did he do? We are lawyers, we count on the Minister of Justice. He is there to see that all of us will work in the vineyard of justice. All of us will work for the purpose of achieving justice in Cameroon. And he represents us there. What was done? I have a senior colleague, Barrister Minister Momo, who is a fervent human rights activist before being a minister. What did he do when there was this violation? Look, we cannot sit and see this country being managed like as if we are in the jungle. I am talking within the confines of my authority, which is law. I took oath in this country to serve this nation as a lawyer, and I'm speaking within the confines of my profession.
Right, and there is a statement that came from one of your colleagues in the Cameroon Bar, the deputy head of the Human Rights Commission of the Cameroon Bar, who said that during a meeting with the Minister of Territorial Administration, when she raised the issue concerning Anise Ekane, the minister is said or quoted to have said that let Anise Ekane die and free Cameroon, and let Cameroon be free. Such a statement.
Who will not die one day? Who is not going to die one day? All of us were going to die. So if you wish somebody's death, you too will die one day. So why are you happy when somebody dies? Or why do you predict, or why do you give a damn if somebody dies? We will all die one day. I think it is honorable to save lives than to allow somebody you can help to die.
This is definitely another blow on the image of Cameroon on the international scene.
It is one of the blows we recently have. It's not the only case. I've reported to you that people were arrested from their homes in gross violation of the Criminal Procedure Code. They were sent to prisons and were taken to Yaoundé. Mr. Babila, it is a jungle. It is a jungle. How do you explain that in 2025, Mr. Babila, people don't respect procedure? The administration is not exempted from respecting the law. And that is the meaning of the rule of law, that everybody is subject to the law. And I'm happy that we know that the violation of human rights constitutes an infringement. And there is no infringement without sanction. And so there are sanctions that victims should bring, and we move forward. And unfortunately, as I said, our magistrates are more of stooges, because you will bring those human rights actions, and it will never prosper in Cameroon. Thank God that the law makes it clear that when you fail using home remedies, you now seek international courts. And so people should know that no matter the outcome of your action in Cameroon, you can seek international institutions and actually get compensated or reparations. Related
news, meaning to our newsroom, indicates that Professor Abba Oyono, who was arrested with Anise Ekane and the others, has been set free, but there is Njekam Chamini, who has been sent to the Condemns maximum prison over charges of an attempt on the integrity of the state and things like that.
It's because the reason of his arrest was frivolous. Like many other cases, they should not limit themselves to the case of the professor. There are thousands of Cameroonians that I am calling on the head of state and the administration to release during this period of festivity. Release these children, these people, to go back to their families. Please, release them to go back to their families. The law provides, if you want to continue with criminal action, please grant them even bail to go back to their family. We don't need further stress in this country, because Cameroon, being a Cameroonian, is already a stress. Please, kindly liberate these people. I am pleading on behalf of my clients who are arrested in Pharmacy Aquano that you should release them, please.
Of course, we are also
and every other persons who are arrested.
Yeah, we are also talking about Fabrice Lena, who was also arrested, and these are issues happening in a country where we often hear our authorities saying Cameroon is a state of law, everybody should respect the law, nobody is above the law, but it appears that some people are above the law in this country.
The authorities should first of all know that the Constitution says that they should declare their properties once they are appointed. Who has done it?
Of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution. Who has done it? So we shouldn't do selective implementation of our rules, of our laws. No. We shouldn't be selective. If we want to take the law, let us take the law. And let us not be discriminatory in implementing the law when we know that as a general rule, everybody's below the law.
Right. Let's take a short break then for us to go to the newsstands, and we're looking at what the newspapers reported this week. And when we come back, we're looking at this specific aspect, this very important aspect of the law which is being violated in Cameroon, bail in the common law and civil law jurisdictions. Stay with us. Reporting about the death of Anise Kane, president of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, the Guardian Post says Anise Kane crackdown on opposition goes wrong. The paper highlights a quote attributed to the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson, and it reads, "If I was there, I would not have allowed that." And another quote from human rights defender, international lawyer, Barrister Alice Com, "They stole his freedom and his breath." The Voice tells its readers that legendary Anise Kane, Manidem leader, coordinator of the Union for Change, died in detention at the Secretariat for State Defense. In another issue of the Guardian Post, after Anise Kane's death in detention, spare Cameroon another international shame, free all arrested, over 1,200 picked up during post-election protests still being held in deplorable conditions. And Newswatch refers to the death of Anise Kane as unbelievable story of truths, half-truths, and untruths. And that's all we had time for in this edition of the program. Right, you're welcome back. We're still with our guest, Dr. Barrister Nkamwah Limen, legal mind, right advocate, and of course, author of the book, Bail in the Common Law and Civil Law Jurisdictions in Cameroon. And in the book, he's making a practical-based evaluation of the implementation of this aspect of the law in Cameroon. Barrister, what is your observation as far as the implementation of this aspect in the common law and civil law jurisdictions in our country is concerned?
You know, I write from the eyes, from the perspective, from a practice-based perspective, meaning that as a lawyer, I have most of the things I reported are things which are verifiable, that are authentic. And I will not want to take credit for this work all alone for myself, because this work passed through the hands of very fine legal minds. I'm talking of Professor Sonne, Patience of Boya, I'm talking of Professor Maikano, and many other professors who went through this work. And I'm talking about the PR Ashwari, the procureur for Mamfe. I'm talking about Justice Metege Divine. I'm talking of Justice Adri, and I'm giving special thanks to the head of the president of the Court of Appeal of Douala, who actually gave me an authorization to meet magistrates, share with them, and get enough materials for my book. Look, the subject is very, very important. Important because, you know, there is a line, a very fine line between criminal and civil actions. In civil action, in criminal action, in majority cases, during investigation, the suspect is detained. And when the matter is sent in front of the examining magistrate, the defendant, he becomes a defendant, he's maintained in detention. It goes to the court as an accused, he's maintained in detention. Whereas if you look at Article 218, sub 1 of our judicial of our Criminal Procedure Code, it says that remand in custody is an exception, meaning that the general rule is that people should be granted bail. It is an exception. And when you go further, the
exception has become the rule.
Of course, that is where the problem is. And that is why I said, let me put this and sensitize, draw the attention, educate the minds of our administrators who may be oblivious that such a law exists, to the common man who thinks that bail is to give money and come out from cell, and especially the judicial and judicial police officers who have been empowered by the Criminal Procedure Code to grant bail. And so, it is a book that every Cameroonian should have, because right to temporal liberty during criminal litigation is very, very important. It is sacrosanct. And therefore, when you don't know this right, some of the judicial police officers don't know. They will ask you, what is bail? They don't know. They need to know. And so, my mission is, I'm going to meet the head of the gendarmerie said, I'm going to meet the director of police, DJSN, to propose to them that we need to sensitize, we need to have training sessions, we need to have working sessions with judicial police officers for them to understand that the law actually makes provision for bail if they fulfill conditions like you see on section 246 G, which says if you have a harbor, you see, and the law also provides, if you look at section 224, 222, 224, and 225, it gives all those authorities the right to grant bail. It gives the judicial police officer, it gives the state council, it gives the examining magistrate, it gives the judge, it gives even upon appeal for somebody to be granted bail. Look, liberty, bail is not only good because it gives you liberty, it is a human right, and it is associated with three other very important human rights, which is right to defense, to prepare your defense. When you are locked up, you locked up people that will not be able to prepare their defense. Look at this, and he said, Kane.
Sometimes
batting with his life, how do you think he prepares his defense?
And sometimes they are detained incommunicado.
And right to fair hearing is a human right. How do you get fair hearing if you don't? You're not free. And then freedom. You lost your liberty, you lost your freedom. And then there is presumption of innocence, which is a fundamental principle in criminal law. If you look at section 8 of our criminal procedure code, it says clearly that anybody involved in criminal litigations is deemed not guilty until proven. Until proven during a trial, a full trial, that is by a competent court that declares that he is guilty. And so, when you deprive somebody from the moment you are taking their statements, it's like you've already said, I declare you guilty, and then it is subsequently that we're going to know if you are not guilty or not. You invest the rules. You invest the rules. And so, it is very important that we get so involved in seeing into it that people don't use bail as an instrument to nail people, to sanction people, or to extort money from people. Now, in the study, of course, as you said, I did a comparative study after doing, after examining the country as a whole. I did a comparative study, and of course, bail is more applicable in the common law jurisdiction. I've not said 100%. It is in terms of comparison, it is more applicable in the common law jurisdiction than in the civil law jurisdiction. Because when you move into the police station or the legal department in Anglophone, in the common law jurisdiction, you see that bail is free. You know, just that word, that bail is free, sends a signal, a reminder to everybody that you have the right to bail, and bail is free. You understand? And then, I had an experience that I want to congratulate the State Council of Limen. Matters that goes to him, he just said, forward them with the application for bail. You see, it is a good way of practice. So, unlike in the common law jurisdiction, the civil law jurisdiction, bail is not enforced as much as in the common law jurisdiction. And then the reason is that we have been practicing bail from our colonial past, from the laws, from the common law that we inherited from the British through Nigeria. We've been enjoying bail in all our lives, and so the criminal procedure code is believed. If I go by the observation of Senior Barrister Eta, the former batonnier, he says it is a hybrid law, and it's influenced 80% by common law principles for us to have such a wonderful book as a criminal procedure code, which unfortunately is not implemented.
And because of the low implementation of the right to bail in the civil law jurisdiction, we have more cases of prolonged pre-trial detention, massive detention, increase of the population of detainees in the different incarceration centers above the capacity of those detention centers.
Mr. Babila, those are some of the issues in this book I draw the attention of the government. When somebody is under custody, that person is under the control of the state budget, meaning that that person has a right to eat. But you believe me that somebody who is in cell in this country, if your family members don't bring, I'm talking of police cells, if your family does not bring you food, nobody gives you food. Whereas it is a duty of the state to provide you feeding, lodging, your health, take care of your health. And when you put all those things, when you quantify all those things, it's expensive to do. And then, the state council do not do their jobs well because the state council has the competence, is empowered to move from one cell to the other and verify those who are there, and those who are not supposed to be there, he released them immediately. But then, there is a bras de fer between the judicial police officers, the bosses, and the state council, because you tell the state council is my cell. No! The police, the gendarmes don't have a cell. Cameroonians should know today that the cells that are found at the police and gendarmes does not belong to the head of that unit. No. It is the cell of the state council. All investigations are done under the control, supervision of the legal department. And so, the law makes it clear, Mr. Babila, that you should be granted bail during criminal litigations.
And
why?
I want us to establish this, Barrister.
Yes.
Everybody has the right to bail, is that?
Everybody has a right to bail upon the fulfillment of certain conditions. You understand? And what are the conditions? Mr. Babila can have a problem, he goes there, they give him self-bail. We know Mr. Babila is a popular person, he works with Equinox, okay, we grant him self-bail, he goes back. The second is through a caution. Financially, in that, okay, we don't know you so well, can you come with people and money, people or money for surety? They'll come now and give you, and put the amount of money that is being requested upon a receipt. Because that money is refunded, that money has to be refunded. If you are eventually put in prison, that money has to be refunded. If you are eventually set free, that money has to be refunded. You see, so when you fulfill those conditions, and then they said the general rule is that everybody who has a fixed and known abode should benefit from bail. Means that if you know that this person lives here, you know you grant bail. Then some of the judges say that Cameroon is not well planified, so you can easily not know. They will tell you that I live behind Total, you go through Mami Koki's place, you go, and so it becomes difficult for them to know. But use the alternative. Use the alternative that, okay, bring some money, put as a caution, and we give you bail.
Now, Barrister, there is something that is recurrent. We hear this every now and then, people are arrested. Sometimes the law enforcement officers carry out raids in some neighborhoods, and they pick out people who do not have their identity cards. Maybe they forgot in their homes and things like that. And they pick out people like that, they pick people and then they take them to the cell. And then the next day, you're asked to pay to leave the cell. You're asked to pay that because you slept there, you have to pay 15,000, 20,000, 50,000, and so on and so forth. And even people whose identity cards are brought to the police, they are asked to pay.
You know, I'll start by making it clear that it is an offense to be caught without your ID card. It is an offense. So Cameroonians should know that it is an offense. But when you are arrested and you can prove, you bring your ID card to prove that you had an ID card, I think there is a human face in the implementation of law. We don't enforce law like if you want to enforce law vigorously, you will see that law is not going to achieve. Every law has something to achieve. What is a mischief role? What is the finality of that law? What problems do they want to resolve? And so the law has a human face that if you can show that I just forgot my ID in the house and that they bring your ID, the law should liberate, should let you go. You know, it's we have a wonderful forum, Dynamic Legal Minds, where we have top lawyers, and many good legal minds. We've discussed this on that forum, and some people are saying that no, since an offense has been committed, the person should be sanctioned. While some other people think that if the person comes with the ID card, he should be released. You see, so my position is that if this person actually had and was not in possession of the ID card then,
at the time of the arrest,
yes, and then we know that it is possible that you forget your ID card and they bring the ID card, simply release the person. But you know, of course, that in Cameroon they don't release people when you don't give money. It is a general practice. It's a general practice, mostly in the francophone regions. In the civil law jurisdiction, they don't release people when you've not paid money.
Now, let's proceed, Barrister, to talk more about the implementation of the right to bail in the common law and civil law jurisdictions. You are not only analyzing what is happening now, but you're also giving suggestions on how to correct these wrongs or the low implementation of the right to bail, in both systems, but more so in the civil law system where the practice is still quite low.
Yes. You know, I want to say, Mr. Babila, that this book is not only to protect rights, it is very educative. Reasons why it was produced in the UK and the US, and they sell in most of the platforms, international sale platforms, and has been translated into 7 international languages because it is an academic work that is produced by Lambert. You see, Lambert's publishers. So, look, I propose in the book how to reduce this disparity in the enforcement of bail. One of the things I said is that they should enforce the training. We could create workshops, we could do seminars and educate the judicial police officers and even inculcate in the heads of the judges, the magistrates, that bail is real. That bail is real.
It's right.
You see, so when you do that, they will meet up with the standards. And then the minister needs to hit his hands hard on the table. That bail should be enforced. In the days ahead, I seek to meet the minister. I seek to request for audience to meet him and to see how we can actually implement the respect of this rule, of this law in our nation, because it is very important. However, Mr. Babila, I am not saying that bail should be granted to everybody. Bail should be granted to everybody. There are some offenses, Mr. Babila, that for the purpose of protecting the proof and the purpose of protecting the victims, the person will not be granted bail. Mr. Babila, you don't expect somebody who comes here, shoot people with guns, you understand, or commit infanticide and serious grievous offenses to be granted bail. So, there is nowhere in the world that bail is granted to everybody. Once you constitute a public danger, you will not be granted bail. And at times, bail is even not granted for the interest of the detainee, for the interest of the person who is detained.
Who can be attacked, who can be killed.
Of course, by the population.
By the population.
Yes. So, but I am focusing on those who, in normal circumstances, would have benefited from bail, who are not granted bail. Because, you know, there's a school of thought that will say that bail is not granted to people who commit felony. You understand? But that is not true. We have cases like the Fon of Balikumbat, who was accused for murder. The late Fon was accused of murder, but he was granted bail. So we have leading cases in Cameroon, have jurisprudence in Cameroon that even if it's a felonious act offense, the general rule is that bail should be granted.
Now it's left to the authorities to examine the different situations and find well-established reasons.
And that is where the problem is, Mr. Babila. That is where the bad faith of Cameroonians come in. Discretionary powers. The granting authority is given the powers, discretionary powers. Like anywhere in the world, they have the discretionary powers. But in Cameroon, we use that discretionary powers negatively. You see, since I'm the one to give you bail, what are you giving me in return? You understand? And that is where I suggested that a different entity should be created to look on liberty, human liberty. That the person who arrests is not the person who grants the bail. Another institution is created, empowered to look at those conditions if they are fulfilled, for bail to be granted. Because in anything that concerns, Mr. Babila, our discretion, we always monetize it to our benefits.
And turn it into a business.
Into a business. That is why you go to the ports, you always have, since the value is from this to this, for a Cameroonian to benefit for the lower value, you have to give money. You have to pay money. You see, so we have a very corrupt mind that if the law is not, if institutions are not placed to protect those corrupt minds, who abuse those rights, those discretionary powers that are given to us. And that is what is happening in Cameroon.
And that's definitely one of the things that you're seeking to correct through this book, as you said earlier, published in 7 languages, international languages, in English, in French, in
German,
Italian,
yes,
and of course
Russian
language.
Indeed, you go to the website, you just
Spanish
type
language.
Spanish. You go on the website, you type bail. Go to Google, you type bail in Cameroon, and you see all those platforms that the book is being sold.
Right. We hope that the book will serve the purpose for which you took time to compile all these facts, to compile all these elements in this book. And of course, you are recommending that to all lawyers, all legal practitioners, and just
non-lawyers, everybody.
Everybody.
Yes, you should know.
Because the right to bail is something that concerns everybody.
Even the magistrates, even the judicial police officers, they should have this book. And Mr. Babila, why should they have it? Is because when we get up in the morning, we go to our offices. We go for one purpose: serve the nation, make people happy, Mr. Babila. And that is my driving force. That is why when I look on the street and I see street children, they don't have, that I'll remove so much money to build an orphanage, a foster home, to take people and put them there, because, Mr. Babila, life is too short. We should do the right things. When you come from your house to your office, know that I'm going to serve people. Who am I going to make happy this day? And Mr. Babila, there's a lot of riches when you make people happy. You find you were present in my launching ceremony of my book. I thank Equinox a lot. Equinox is reputed for being a TV station that fights for rights, and especially rights to liberty. So you people were present. You saw the testimony from my clients. You saw the testimony from people on my humble person. And Mr. Babila, it is just the fact that when you get up in the morning, you as a judge, you as a policeman, you as a gendarme, you as a minister, you as whoever, where God has placed you, go to your workplace with one objective: serve Cameroonians. Make many more Cameroonians happy. And it's only that way that you two will be happy.
You serve Cameroon, serve Cameroonians, and they will in turn serve you. But if you serve yourself first,
we know what happens to people who serve themselves.
It becomes a problem.
Yes.
For even God himself says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all the other things
shall follow.
Will be added.
And God equally said that he would judge all those who he gave them responsibility to take over his children, to care for his children. Yes. So, having a post is a divine blessing for which you will be accountable in front of God.
Thank you so much. Dr. Barrister Nkamwah Limen, thank you for coming.
It's always a pleasure, Mr. Babila.
It's also a pleasure for us. Each time we have you on set, each time we have to listen to you. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights and wisdom with us today.
God bless Cameroon. God bless my people.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.